this on TikTok the other day. There's a pattern in numbers, and when you get to the end of the number sequence, the pattern changes, but we don't know why. So we're going to go from 1 to 9, and we're going to break it down. So the number 1, lines, all lines. So no matter how you write it, it's either like little slash and then the 1, just the 1, or the little slash and the serif underneath it. When you get to number 2, it's a curve and a line. When you get to number 3, it's all curves. Now we move on to number 4, line, line, line. So it's a straight line. Get to number 5, you have line, curve.
Or line curve.
Get to number 6, all curves. So we're doing line, line, curve, curve. So that's the current pattern. We're getting to number 7, line. When we get to number 8,
everything's a curve.
It's all curve.
Is it 2 curves
and
or 1?
9
and
is a
9
curve,
is
and,
curve
a
and a line.
So the 8 and 9 should be switched.
Wait,
So
but the formal
switch.
9 is just a loop, so it's a curve.
The what?
The formal 9? Like a typewriter? It's not like line, curve. You know
Okay,
what I
but
mean?
isn't
Curve
a
line.
2, wouldn't you say that has a curve?
It has a
Does,
curve.
yeah.
A 2 is curve line.
Now,
Okay.
technically, certain people make the 2 where it's all a curve because they do the whole like
See, this
cursive
is my
2.
argument with the 9.
Yeah.
You know, like on a deck of cards, just like loop. But then if you're a
So I
normal
think
person,
the
you
the
just do
pattern
circle.
can continue, but no, the 8 throws it all
The
off.
8 still throws
But
it
some
off
people
because you don't
make
have
the-
only
well,
line
that's
8s
not
or
true.
a curve and a line
That's
8.
not necessarily true because I've seen that some people make an 8 where they make an S and then make a line.
Who?
that's a
I've
dollar
seen
sign.
that.
That's a dollar sign.
No, no, no.
That's a dollar sign.
No. The line doesn't go through the S. It's
need-
diagonal and connects the top of the S to the
You need
bottom
to
of
drop
the
the
S.
name of whoever does that and report them.
I don't know. It was in middle school. So.
Welcome to Let Us Pray. I'm Emily. This is...
You already know who it is.
CJ number
It's
one
gonna be my
today.
new thing.
You already know who it is.
You already know who it is.
We're the Williamses, and we have the Graes today.
Hello, I'm CJ number
The
2.
very talented Graes.
Oh,
They are musicians and have really cool music, and they're awesome friends of ours. And we're pumped that they're in Charlotte this weekend.
This
so.
is Let Us GRAE part
Let Us
2,
GRAE
but
part
on our side.
3.
Yeah, let us grade technically part 3.
We were
So
on their
Let Us GRAE
podcast.
wasn't all grays or all things gray.
No.
All Graes.
All things
We
pray.
were on their podcast previously, and we had a blast. We were there for like 2 hours talking about God knows what. And
No idea.
it was the best thing ever. So we're like, y'all need to come on our podcast now. And we just had a really cool conversation, probably for about an hour, maybe more. And we're like, we need to make this a podcast. So we're going to start this with that. How did we even get there?
I don't even know
We
how
started
got
talking about how at the core we are, well, CJ brought up the point that at the core we never change. Like we are based on our environment, right? Based off of the things that we grew up around, like those at that core, we never change. And me and CJ number 2 were like,
That ain't true.
I don't really.
Well, see, so it's kind of hard for me to stick up for myself because we had breakthrough already. So it's like,
I do
Like,
also want to just
Yeah.
point out the fact
But
that if you would just kindly show your listeners your shirt, Jesus changes everything. So, you know,
Wow.
TLDR.
that wasn't the point I was making.
Shout out to
Don't
Redemption Hill
Jesus
Church.
juke me for my own shirt.
He had it on the
TLDR,
screen.
Jesus changes
Wow, I
everything.
really-
Two Sharpies like does not.
Jesus changes everything, but he loves you
with
how you
exception.
are.
That's true. That is so
Your
true.
DNA is who you are. Okay, so my original point was no one really changes. Your thoughts behind what you do or your actions towards your feelings change because who you are is who you are genetically, whether you get those genes from your parents hereditarily or from your nurture, your environment that you grew up around. That's why the whole ideology with astrological signs exist. So people take that as like, oh, the stars aligned in a certain area and that's why I am who I am. No, certain things are going on in the time of year that you were
I'm such a
born,
Scorpio.
and that's why you developed into who you are. So that's part of your nurture side of it. And so my idea around it was you don't really change. Like the things that affect you before still somewhat affect you, but how you respond to it changes. That was my idea. So to be like, you are who you are, how you respond to it changes. So in that, right, I was like, you don't really change, but.
And it's hard to like disagree with all of that because we understand that point of view too, but we're like, wait a second, something there doesn't feel quite right with like us just agreeing with the fact that we never change at the core because scripture literally tells us we are made new and we are new creations in Christ. So if that's true, and like if marriage is a reflection of our relationship with the Lord, then in that case, we are to be made new constantly. It will be like a daily work. So CJ and I were like, and then Cassie's just there like looking back
When
and
these
forth.
kind of conversations happen, Cassie pretty much just checks out.
I like to listen and observe and hear all the thoughts.
So what did you say, CJ, then?
So
Because that was a breakthrough for me.
Yeah, I think it was for me too. Because I honestly, at first, I disagreed 100% with CJ. When
We
he
were
said,
like, immediately,
well,
no, our walls
he's
went
like,
up.
He goes, people don't change, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna stop you right
And
there.
then Emily came in like a mediator. Wait, you have to listen to each other and actually hear what you're saying.
Yeah, shout out to Emily coming in and being like, you two need to listen to each other.
We were listening to each other. We have.
You both wanted to make your points quickly.
What's the word? We were
Passionate.
fellowship.
He did
fellowship.
fellowship.
Oh, he did
We were
fellowship.
We were fellowship.
Fellowshipping hot.
Yeah.
We were very
It was
warmly
getting hot in here.
fellowshipping.
We were warm fellows for a little bit.
Warm fellows.
We got to the place to where I think we agreed that at a certain level, we don't typically change who we are until there is a reason to make those changes. And so we started talking about, tolerating certain things that make us upset or get under our skin a little bit. And in that toleration, we learn how to accept it. And then sometimes in certain situations, we actually start changing who we are. And the point that I made is if we didn't change who we were in those moments, that could start breeding resentment for your significant other. Because if I'm just tolerating the things that, make me mad that she's doing.
If you're just changing your response.
If I'm only changing my response, I'm getting to a point where like 10, 15, 20 years down the road from now, if it's still annoying me, if I'm not changing, then now I'm going to be like, all right, I don't like this and you're still doing it. I've changed my response, but now there's a deeper issue. There's a deeper rooted issue. So rather than that be the case, me learning to change who I am, to accept that, but then also be fine with it and like truly change and be okay with that. I do believe that that's how you stay in a marriage, because you're going to be married to this person forever.
Right.
And if there's something that they do that doesn't make you happy, obviously you got to talk about it.
Right.
But then there's a certain point to where one or the other person is going to have to change, or living harmoniously is impossible, in my opinion.
Do you have an example of like a time where you and Cassie had to do that? I mentioned, do you like the cereal box thing?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like our first and
I
biggest
think
example.
Yeah.
And this is a stupid example because like people, why would that make you so mad? But there was one thing that my lovely wife would do.
That's what they told me
It's
about
the
the
hand
cereal
on the
box.
And it was a cold hand. by the way.
Sorry. You're the one with holes in your
I
pants.
know.
So are you.
So it's the guy with holes in his pants.
Literal holes in
You're
your
the one
pants.
exposing
Sucker.
yourself.
Pot calling the kettle black. Why's it gotta be black?
There are different colored pots and kettles.
So, Kat, when we first got married, I learned, and I like confirmed this with her mom, with my mother-in-law, and I was like, "Did she do this back when she was at home? Because this is annoying." But she would not, like a milk carton or a juice carton or whatever it was,
Anything with a lid.
anything with a lid, like that
Anything.
you had to just twist on.
Anything with a lid.
She would put it on crooked. It would never be
Not
fully
intentionally.
on.
I just can't.
But
I
it was
couldn't
it was
do
happening
it.
so
It's, like,
often
not
that I was like,
even.
I think she's choosing to do this, and it would infuriate, because I'm like, I don't know if the milk will go bad if the cap's not on when it's in the refrigerator, but I don't know. In my mind, there's a reason the cap screws on, and she's not doing it.
It will. It'll go bad.
Like, okay, so it would go bad. So I'm like, we're spending $7 for milk now. like we don't need it going bad, and so it used to make me so mad. And she just kept doing it. She kept doing it. I knew that she wasn't doing it maliciously. So that right there was the start of my response being
But you
changed.
were at first you were reacting
At
as
first,
if it
I was
was
like, "What is wrong with you? Like,
Why are you doing this to me?
yeah, why are you doing this to me? Like,
He's
you
like,
know
"You're
I don't
my
like
pet
this. You
peeve."
hate me. Like, why do you hate me?"
Why do you hate me?
So the first change was, okay, she's not doing this maliciously. And, we actually talked about it in church. Like, how we talk about how God's not against me. Like, my spouse is not against me.
Right.
She's not doing this to piss me off. So that was, response change number one. Hopefully, yeah. But, I mean, we were newlyweds, so maybe she was.
This is my plan. I'm gonna get him.
She's like, yeah.
The
So
theory is
once that response change happened, I think it started to become funny. And so then I started realizing, like, when it would happen, I noticed that I wasn't getting mad anymore. I would literally find myself laughing about it and just fixing it myself and just putting it on there. And the funny thing about it is, you haven't done it in like a year.
Yeah.
So it's
Maybe
like
that has
Backhand.
to do with you being gentler about it.
exactly rather than getting super mad and being like, "What is wrong with you?" Which is don't ever say that to your wife, by the way. So
What
it's
is
like
wrong
this is like
with you?
101 what not to do. But once I said, "Hey, look, this is something that bothers me," and I realized that she wasn't doing it maliciously,
Yeah.
I do believe that I changed. My response changed first, which was CJ's point. Response comes first. But the step further that I think we were all missing until we kind of had that breakthrough was I also changed. And then in that altogether, literally the whole situation kind of went away.
Shifted.
And I
yeah.
And it shifted
changed.
into a different thing. And you
Because
changed.
I noticed it bothered him. And I was like, oh, you don't like crooked juice lids? Sorry.
Do you like crooked juice lids?
I mean,
It was never
I'm
something
like
that you
medium. Like I
noticed.
never really
Yeah.
like cared. I'm like, it's on. It could be fully exposed.
You didn't think about it.
It's still on. It's just crooked.
Like at least it's not all the way off.
Yeah, like
I
it's
do
still
remember.
there.
I remember picking up one carton at one point and like going to like aggressively twist it off, and it just like felt scared the heck out of me, and I almost dropped it. Like it was aggressive, but I wasn't expecting the lid to just fall off.
Right.
I was like, why wasn't this on?
Can
Oh
you
my
picture it? Can you picture it?
gosh.
Like going to court. Why are you getting divorced? She can't put lids on. Like that just really tore them apart.
If that's something that caused us to get a divorce,
Some
we shouldn't have gotten married in the
people-
first
Right.
place.
Some people can't like problem solve like that. And it eventually, those little things add up, and they're
Yeah.
like, "I just cannot live with."
And then it turns into
We're not
divorce.
compatible.
Yeah.
What is compatibility then?
Yeah.
Because nobody's compatible.
No, and I think
There's
that's
no
what,
duplicate person, and if there are, they're probably gonna annoy you because they're gonna
They're
be
too
mirrors
same.
of
Yeah,
you.
That's worse. I don't
Too
like
similar.
people that are too much like me
Yeah.
because I know I'm irritating. So I don't want someone to do the same thing to me.
At least you're self-aware
It's
on
a-
that.
I'm very
'cause-
self-aware. Like I know what things I do. I am known to be a natural button pusher. All my siblings are. It's just like kind of in our nature who we are. It's
It's
hereditary.
just how I
It's
am.
hereditary.
But it's like the important thing is obviously
do you,
not
boo.
to just do you. Don't accept who you are. You take who you are, realize who you are, and work through that. So yes, I'm a button pusher. I don't want someone to, and I know I'm going to be blessed and cursed with a child who's going to be the same way.
yeah.
No.
Again,
I rebuke it in Jesus'
It's God's
name.
happy revenge.
I rebuke that in Jesus'
Nope,
name.
it's gonna be. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have a
pray
hairy
against
button pusher.
I mean, honestly, I think that was the revelation for us too. Like it was literally okay. Number one, we were both raised completely different, though both be by white people. we were still raised. we were still raised very, very differently.
Letting
Like our
penguins out the
upbringing was
fridge.
different. And when you have marriage, you've got two completely different people that are being smushed together for the rest of their lives. Like
Right.
there is going to be some friction. How you handle that friction, and then how you handling that friction. So that's the response change,
Right.
and then actually changing is what creates longevity in marriages. So you
Right.
see the divorce rate go up because people aren't willing to
Right.
change.
The
Right.
frustration.
And I think
comes
that's why I was
when
like
you're
immediately
just changing
no.
response. Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you're only changing the response and like, well, I am doing the dishes for her now, or I am doing this for her now, and like people will think that that's changing or like that's enough.
Mhm.
But really, like at the core, like if your heart is not in it and you're not doing it like from a place of service to your spouse and a place of worship to God,
Yeah.
like then that's where it kind of gets like, okay, well, you didn't really complete the thing
Yeah.
that
Didn't
will
complete the mission.
yeah, you didn't complete the mission here. You just, and it looks like effort. It does. And it is a little bit of effort, but
I
it's
would-
not the full picture.
Yeah,
I
agree
would just
with
like to say thanks to marriage, I am on 2.5 years of matching socks from the laundry now.
Oh, God bless.
Oh, you want another? You
You
want
were a
another? You want another?
mismatcher?
You want another
Wait,
example? We
wait,
got
you
one
were
for
a
you.
mismatcher?
Hold on. So when
So
I was
stressful.
single life, I had a sock basket.
What do you do? What?
And they were all like,
I am so glad we're doing this. Thank you for
they
making
were
me feel
all
seen.
mismatched.
Yes.
just didn't
Cassie,
care?
that's like,
Stop it.
how are you okay?
I mean, I wasn't wearing like.
I wasn't okay.
It's like wearing
wasn't-
one long
it
stocking
And then the other
a
one like
short
an ankle
ankle
sock.
No way. It wasn't like a big fuzzy sock and like a.
But
Might
Cassie,
as well
like
have
I
been.
would feel unbalanced, like walking. Like
Jesus.
one sock
You're
is like
unbalanced. You're not okay.
you're like
they
one
were
sock
always
is
the
thicker than
same-
the other.
They were always the same height and the same thickness. It was like a
Jeez.
variety pack, and then one was pink and one was blue.
But that's the thing. You didn't buy them as a
but it's the
variety
same
pack.
type of sock, just different colors.
No.
yes, it wasn't like it was
No.
like
But, like, it's one thing if it's two different types
It
of
wasn't
socks,
like
but
an
if it's the
athletic
same,
sock and then like a fuzzy sock for Christmas. It was like they all were relatively
Okay,
the same.
time
they
out.
came out of the same
Relatively?
pack. They came out of the same pack. They were just
No,
different
they didn't.
colors.
That's what I'm saying.
But they
She's
didn't come
calling
out
it a
of the same
variety
pack.
pack. They weren't. She bought them as a pair.
But when
she
you compare
created the
them-
variety.
She made the variety pack.
She made it a variety.
She made it a
pack.
variety.
Oh my god! If you do that, that should be illegal. Please don't do that. Just buy normal, like, or just buy the same brand all the
And then-
time
yeah.
and then put them in a drawer.
Well, thanks to him, he got me new socks,
Here's
and
a
I can
trick:
start
just buy
over.
the same color sock.
Exactly.
I have
Buy the
gray
same
and
pair.
black socks.
All black
That's it.
socks.
Yeah.
Well, you would like to know that I went from my variety pack basket
Yeah.
to I have like I don't know 6 pairs of socks that I go through.
That's just 6
I
pairs.
love that.
And-
I just do the same.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I was like, I'm tired of having this fight. I'm just gonna buy a big pack.
It wasn't a
from-
fight.
Oh my god!
Hey,
Hated
But
fellowship.
here's what really got me.
it
He
was a hated
goes,
fellowship.
here's what really got me. So I tend to do the laundry for both of us,
Mhm.
and he came over to me one day and goes, I would really appreciate it if you started doing my laundry, and you're gonna judge me because maybe this is wrong too. I just throw it in. And he's like, you have to turn it right side in when you put it in the wash. I'm like, it's all getting wet. Technically, the inside out
How does
version.
the machine know?
The inside out version is what touches you anyway. So why are you mad that it's inside out when it's like being washed? She's like, I just prefer the right side in to be in when it's washed.
Well, so that's where like the just. And there's a couple of things I've learned to just kind of let it go on this
Yeah.
thing because you have your differences in that, and so I do the first half of the laundry in this house. So some chores we tend to split in half because
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
a
all
good
right,
idea.
because neither of us really want to do it, we'll just split it down the middle, and
I
someone
don't think
takes the
anyone
half of
wants
it.
to do chores.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants to do it. That's what I said. I was like, nobody wants to do chores.
Because we just gave each other
Yeah,
chores.
but like some chores is just like, all right, you're
Some
like,
chores are,
I'm
like,
gonna do this, you're gonna
niched.
do this, and then
Yeah.
but some of them we try to mix it, and so I do the washing half of the laundry, and for
It's
the
important.
time that
I'm sorry. It's important to know your strength and your weaknesses
Yes.
when you're
That's important.
establishing chores. Just because you don't want to do it, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Because neither of us want to. But who's gonna do this more efficiently, and who's gonna do?
God
this,
bless you,
like-
woman. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna let y'all
'Cause
finish.
it's not efficient for like me to take out the trash. It's really not because
How's
I.
that not efficient? There's
I mean, no. But here's the
inefficient
thing,
way
though.
to do that.
Like, I will do it, especially like if I have to. You know, I have no problem with that. I will go out and take the trash if you're out of town, if like it needs to get done. But like the way we establish things is like it's not going to be efficient if you go and do the dishes because you hate it and it's going to take you forever because like it's not something that like you do often even growing up. So
Yeah.
it's like
I did a lot growing up.
you did.
I did.
Well,
a
then maybe
lot
you should do the
growing
dishes.
up. That's why-
But anyway,
I agree with
like,
this.
And that
it's
is, and it
important
was I
to
was
see our
forced
strengths.
into it.
I will fold it better. I will fold the clothes. I will put them up better. But like, no offense, but anybody could throw stuff in the wash.
Well,
So
that's
you
no,
can
because
take that
that's
off.
where that's the story that I was taking at because we had it differently. Because growing up, when I had to do my laundry, I was always taught to separate it by lights and colors and all that.
Oh
and
yeah, I
pants
said
and
no to
shirts
that.
and things. And
That's
the
how I was
first
taught.
time I watched her do it,
Yeah,
she
I'm
just
not. See, that's
threw
not.
a bunch in there. I was like,
That's what
what
she did.
on
That
earth
is
are you
not-
doing? And it drove me insane.
is
I'm
not
like,
my
why
strong
would you do
suit.
that?
Wait, here's my thing. I only own like 2 things that are light. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that on its own.
And
I
it,
own
like
a
it
lot
threw
more
me for a
now.
huge loop. I was like, no, you have to separate the darks from the lights. You have to do like
Undies.
your undies and stuff first, and then your shirts, and then
What?
your pants. Because that's how I knew how to do laundry.
that's-
separated
That
it
is a
all.
That's
committed
psycho level,
and
process.
like, and
That's
you do that, you
psycho.
separate it into
OCD.
sections. And she was like, it's all clothes. You just throw it in there. Like you can't do that. And I'm a heavy believer I can't do that because then certain things touch certain things.
Well, no,
and you
like,
don't want those
I
things
knew-
to mix with other things that
listen,
are going to touch other
I
areas.
knew lights
That's why
and-
I don't sleep
But
naked.
it's all wash.
I knew that lights and darks.
What is happening?
Shut up, wait. I knew that lights and darks need to be separated. What the big thing was that you like to separate your undies from like your shirts and
Yes.
your sleepwear.
I'm
I
confused.
don't
Can
own
we,
enough
can we
to do
pause?
that.
and
Can
then
we
your
pause right there for a second?
pants.
When you say separate because they touch each other on different parts of your body,
Yes.
if it's going through the wash, what difference does that make?
Because like the
In theory, it's supposed to be clean.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying
the
to figure out.
essentials and oils that are coming off of certain areas you don't want in other areas.
It all
But
goes
if it's
down the
being
drain.
washed,
You want it to you're washing it, but it's not. Nothing's ever like perfect, 100% like clean. Like you're hoping that the laundry gets.
Is this
most of the
kind of like
stuff
your
out
argument
there.
about no one ever
This
changing?
means
Because I'm
you
No,
know-
no, but like
No,
it's
this
true.
means he's
Nothing is
never had
100%
one of those.
true.
This means he's never had atomic wedgie.
An atomic wedgie.
me or him.
Apparently
Me?
him, because
That would
that's
mean
when
that
your
I would have
underwear's
had an
over your head. So that would be a real bad combo for you.
How did my underwear can't even reach over my head? How many atomic wedgies have you had?
I think she's basing this off of a cartoon.
Just like a cartoon.
I think we have
I've been here too long watching cartoons.
Can I add something to what Emily was saying though? Because I feel like we have the same struggle, but for different reasons. Y'all have chosen chores because they have to get done, and it's efficient for you to do the dishes because you may not like doing them, but obviously you do them better than he does, I'm assuming. For us, I started realizing because I'm the same as
do that better than
Yeah, I
somebody.
wouldn't say it's because I do it better, but it's just because of what I mean efficiently is
Yeah.
like I'm home at this time,
Okay,
or I'm
that makes
up
sense.
late, so I
Yeah,
can do it, and
that
like
makes
he
sense.
needed to go to work and like stuff like that, like efficiently and time wise, because I have the availability to do it when he doesn't, or I have the sleep schedule to do it because he doesn't. Or,
See, this is super interesting because for us, we just recently gave each other chores, and if you don't mind me saying, I'll say what it is. Like she does dishes and laundry, and then like small things around the house. I bought her this really fancy vacuum cleaner. She loves vacuuming, whatever. So she'll
Vacuuming's my hobby.
yeah, we like do for
It's
fun,
my
you know.
dream.
I love a good vacuuming night.
So she'll do the dishes and the laundry and the vacuuming. I'm the same as CJ where I had a particular way of doing laundry. I didn't do like the separating thing really religiously, but I did, empty out pockets. I would go through and make sure all the pockets were emptied. Like she'll literally run all of my picks from the guitar. She'll run all those through the washer and dryer. And I always say, I used to always go through the pockets, flip everything inside out or outside in, make sure that everything, when you take it out, you can fold it or hang it up and be good to go, right? She doesn't do that. She just throws it all in, which I think is crazy.
Well, here's a question
But-
for you first. Why are your pockets not empty? Like when you're taking off
Yeah,
your clothes,
that
you
bothers
See,
her. So
I
I've been
grew
trying to
up-
fix
I
that.
grew up in the culture
I've been
of.
trying to fix that. That is a good point. I have been trying to fix that.
So I started doing my laundry when I was like 10 because my mom was like, "Listen, you only get so much
this motherfucker, yeah.
luxury, right?" And before that, my mom was like, "If it goes through, it goes through, and that's your fault. And if it's money, I'll keep it." I'm like, "All right." So it's territorial.
That's fair.
And y'all,
it's territorial.
and I find
all
things in his
free game.
pockets, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I don't know. It's just.
Well, and that was that. I mean, we
But
can
did
roast
you
me
know?
about that
Hold
later.
on. Did you know? My fault. AirPods can make it through the washer.
And that's because she left her
We
AirPods
talked
in her
about this.
pocket.
We did talk about
Only a
this.
certain amount of times.
I'm sure it's probably a one-time thing, but just in case it happens to you,
But real
because it
quick,
did to me.
The point I was trying to make about the way y'all chose who does what chore, for us, it was more so out of tolerance. So for me, the reason why it would make more sense and it'd be more efficient for me to do the laundry. But the laundry sitting for a while doesn't bother me nearly as quickly as it bothers her. So the reason she's got
Yeah.
laundry is because
Tolerance.
yeah, she can't take it.
Yeah.
So she'll do laundry every single day
Oh.
when I wouldn't do it but once a freaking month.
Every
So
Yeah.
like
wow.
now
No.
I take care of
Which,
When I'm on top of my game, I try to do it once a week.
yeah.
Because I only own so many things I can wear to work, and I have to
Right.
wash them
Yeah.
again. He is the king of I'll wear it for 30 minutes or whatever, and then I'll put it back because it's technically not
I
dirty.
agree with that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And I'm just like a germaphobe, and I'm like, I'm sorry. You
Oh,
sat,
it depends on what I'm doing.
I'm like, I'm sorry.
Right.
You
if I'm
sat
wearing it
on
for
the
30 minutes and I'm playing basketball for those 30 minutes, they
Right.
go through the wash.
It's like
Yeah.
levels. Like if you just like wore it out to the store real quick, you
Yeah.
just kind of it
Well,
goes
I'm
on the
like,
chair
you
of
sat on a
news
park
clothes.
bench, and someone else probably sat on that park bench, and a bird probably pooped on that park bench, and you need to not
Okay,
do
that's
that.
just overthinking to the max. degree.
That's like really overthinking.
So if you were to dress
that's
up
that's
in like
smart.
Welcome to my
PJs
life.
and go get your like mail in a newspaper and then come back inside and decide you don't want to wear that anymore, would you wash it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Immediately.
ridiculous.
No, I'd put it in the dirty
In the
pile,
hamper.
and I put nude pajamas on.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's the reason why I don't do the laundry, because if it was up to me, she would get annoyed because I would only do them.
We'd be re-wearing
I think it's a
everything.
blend for us too, because
Yeah.
our tolerance level is, we said before it was similar, but
It's pretty similar.
it's pretty on the same, like, yeah, but I think mine is now starting to be a little less. Like, I don't like seeing stuff on the counter really, or like I need to like wipe it or something. But, we have our days too where we're tired and
Yeah.
like it
Mhm.
just doesn't
That's
get
Oh,
the
yeah, I
biggest
had
thing for
picky
me.
tendencies too.
Yeah.
Because like for me, the one thing that really bothers me is when trash starts overflowing.
Yeah.
Mainly
Yeah.
because whenever I'm putting trash in, I always push it down.
Yeah.
Cassie will literally stack things on top of the trash can.
It's my passive aggressive
Forever.
sign to do your
Forever.
chore.
She will not push it down. There will be at least 3 more days worth of trash that we can fit in there. We won't know because she won't push it down. So my job is
because
to take
the
care
germs.
of trash.
She doesn't want to touch the
That's
germs.
that's part of it. So my
Yeah.
chore is the trash, the cat litter, because that's part of the trash. So cat litter, trash, and
Bathrooms.
bathrooms. I'll clean the toilets, the tubs. I'll scrub all that stuff down. So I'll do all of that. In return, she has probably the 2 most annoying chores: dishes and laundry. So we feel
Annoying
like
to
it
you.
kind of even.
Most
even it
annoying
out.
to you.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind laundry at all. I just don't get annoyed by it. Like, I would rather do the laundry, to be honest with you.
Oh,
But I
hate
would
it.
only
Because he
do
likes
it
his process.
once every
I
2
hate
weeks.
it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
And
You
that's
do
where
all
you-
the laundry now?
I do. Yeah.
But
She
you
wants it done consistently.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it
so
every I
that
do it every 2
matters
weeks.
more. The consistency matters more than how it gets done now.
Well, no, for her, yeah, because I know
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
I would
because
be
I don't
fine
want
with
to
doing it every 2
I
weeks.
hate when I have to go. I'm not a good morning person. I hate when I'm running late. I can't find my pants, and I don't know where to look for them because they're not in the closet.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, don't look at me. Like,
I can't tell you how many
okay,
things
here's
I
the
cannot
thing.
find.
Here's the thing. I organize things differently all the time. Like, because when I'm cleaning it up,
No, please
Like,
no.
so, but I don't do it as often as he says I do. I
I didn't say
don't.
anything.
I know what you were going to
Your
say.
brain energy was sending
It
some
was
waves.
saying it without saying
What
it.
I am saying, so me, I'm definitely a creature of habit. Like, I'm stuck in my habit, and I know that there are certain things in my life I need to change. And getting with her unlocked my more adventurous side, per se. And so I never moved ever in my life until I was 20 years old. So that was like my first big change. I like things how they are. So once I set my zone and I'm comfortable in that zone, don't change it. And then so for me, what happens is I'm messy. I can say that. I'm messy, but I'm like an organized mess type person. So I know where my stuff is.
Like
so
for you, yeah.
yeah. So even if I left it somewhere, I'm like, my brain can recall like, all right, I know I left it here. And so here's a compliment sandwich. I love that you clean, and I love like she's very organized and clean, and she'll like pick things up and like do all that. And then so what used to happen is, and here's where my response changed and how we like got through this. What used to happen is so she's cleaning up, and then I responded to that the wrong way, because instead I came angrily like, why did you move my stuff? Where's my stuff? Not realizing like, oh, she's making the house nice and making it comfortable and clean for not only us to live in, but when like, you know, we have guests over and things like that. And that's where the appreciation need to have come in for me to be like, hey, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
So now we kind of have a thing where when she's cleaning up, well, one, I try not to just leave my stuff everywhere. So now she's designated spots. She has designated spots for certain
Like,
things
I wouldn't have to
be.
move it if you didn't just
Put it-
throw it somewhere
Right. So
random.
now there's clean designated spots. So like all my hats are in one area, all my shoes are in one area. But now what gets me now these days is the designated spots can change. And so I don't know.
Well,
if
no,
it-
okay, because it
It's
will
an
out.
adventure.
It will sometimes. What happens is, what happened was, it will outgrow that designated spot. So now we have
To
more
her.
hats,
By whose
and now we
standard?
have. No,
Thank
like
you.
no, I'm saying because like you'll get like or I'll find like new hats from like the car in the car. Now they're in the house, and now it doesn't fit in the basket that I had it in before.
Oh, I
so
see.
now it
Okay.
has
It physically
outgrown.
outgrows,
Yeah,
yeah.
now it has outgrown that basket. So now I need to find something new to put it in and a new place for it, because now it's too big for that spot. And that's when I'll go ahead and change it.
I don't know,
This
you
is
gotta
why
wait-
this is
you
why
gotta
big
wait one with the
companies-
hats. But did you like when you guys got here? Did you see the little note that was in the bathroom? I think I
No,
left
I-
it there. So there was a note that, and this is kind of like
And
how
that
we resolve this
also-
now, where we talked about like, all right, if you change a spot or something,
Yeah.
Let me know.
warn me first so that I could be aware of it, because nothing's, I guess for me, like it's when she designates a spot and then I'm like, all right, I notice things in that spot, and I go to that spot and it's gone. So then I'm like, all right, where's
That's
my
when he
stuff?
gets pissed.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
like-
that's why I'm like, this
yeah.
is where I know it is. I'm comfortable with it here. Why is it gone? So now she does a thing where she's like, hey, she wrote me a note, and I kind of laughed at it the other day. She was like, I didn't move much. I put this over here, and it's here now.
Before you
This is
get
where you can
mad.
find this. Yeah, that's like
I need
this is
to
where
work
you can
on that.
locate
And it really
that.
was
Cassie needs to do
because
that because she changes things all the time.
I like got more products for myself and from like my hair, and it's more than I usually have, and now we have like an extra bottle of lotion. It's usually when things outgrow a spot where like I'll need to move something around, because now it looks like clutter.
We do
Yeah.
have a lot of lotion. That's
Yeah,
Costco. It's
yeah.
Costco's fault.
Costco.
Just blaming the store.
Shout out to Costco, man.
So since I did that and I cleaned the bathroom and I was like trying to find new places for these new things, then that's when I'm like, okay, I actually now have thought of a better way to like organize your things and my things. So that's why I wrote you the note, and I was like, hey, didn't move much, but this is so much cleaner now. Your contacts are here, and your I don't know what
I
else
think
it
the
was.
note is a very good piece to that. You were going to say
That I
something, sorry.
appreciated, because it wasn't like by surprise, because when I'm late and I'm doing something and in my head, so even if I was late by fault of something else or my own, in my head I know how to time things. So I'm like, I know where everything is, so because I know that I have time to do this, I
Yeah.
could time that, and I know I could just grab this and go. but then when it's not in the spot that you initially intended it to
Now
be,
Yeah.
you've got to
that-
add finding it
that's
to
where it's
your
like, oh
list.
my god, now I
Yeah.
have to look for it, and then if she's sleeping or something, and I'm like, I can't wake her up, or she's somewhere else, and I'm calling her like, where is my thing? Because like I gotta go do something
That-
else.
Yes, that sparked some PTSD for me because I had it was like a pack of batteries or something for his geeky life, and he was like, "Where did the thing go?" And I was like, "I put it in the drawer," and he's like, "It's not there." I'm like, "I swear to you, it's there because it's been sitting here for a month," and I hit my limit.
And I knew where it was sitting for that month. And
Right.
she
Yeah.
For
moved
that
it.
month, yeah, in my office. I'm like, "This is my space. Get out of here!" And then I'll tell you what, with the laundry. When he gave me that, he's like, I would really prefer if you flipped my laundry right side in. My first response, I changed, right? This is 2.5 years ago. Yeah, 2.5 years ago, me. I was like, boy, I would just be happy I'm doing your laundry.
Just be satisfied it's
So-
getting done.
Seriously, like both of us have not been married for a very long time, but the amount of growth,
In
even
theory,
what do
it's
you mean?
long to us, so other people would disagree.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, as you like to say,
Yeah.
it's not like
We made it past the honeymoon phase, and we're like still here.
I mean, there are people getting married
Yeah.
at like 20 years old, and at this point, they've been married for like 9-10 years. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
like
it's-
I mean, there's
it's not
people that
fresh.
have, and you know, society gives you like the idea that like you're not allowed to really talk about marriage advice or anything or how much you've learned if you haven't even been married very long,
Yeah.
which I think is a whole other thing because I'm like these
Maturity
years.
comes at different levels.
It
Yeah,
does.
it does, and it. Like, who are you to say? Like, we've been together long, you know. We
I
haven't
don't know.
been
Here,
married, but
my philosophy has always been I learned, well, not me specifically, but people learn a lot in 4 years of high school.
Mm.
People learn a lot in 4 years of college.
I love how you
people.
preface
That's
that.
not me. I mean,
Some people do.
most people learn a lot. So,
I didn't, don't look, I wasn't even throwing a shot. It's like,
so if you can learn enough to have a career in something, I feel like being with
Yeah.
someone
Wow,
every single
yeah.
day, like 2.5 years, 5 years, 20 years, doesn't matter how long it is.
Yeah.
You're going to be learning something about your spouse every day for the rest of your
Right.
life.
you should be.
You
could
should
always
be,
learning.
yeah. And that's
And-
where that change stuff comes back. I like
Yeah.
that this is coming kind of full circle. But
Some of it's meeting in the middle, and I'm going to share this part of our marriage that I think is funny, and I think you think it's funny, and it's just a funny
think you
quirk.
think it's funny.
which
It's
means
like-
I don't, but it's fine.
We're gonna
I hope
test
you
it
It's
now.
a funny, it's a funny quirk about our relationship. Like his preference with laundry, and I'm the one who does it, right?
Mm.
And his side of the closet's a little bit more chaotic, and it's because half the reasons I can't reach the shelf, so I just chuck it up there. And I used to go through and I would like reorganize it like once every month for him, but sometimes it just doesn't really maintain that. Like his pants just kind of go everywhere.
I would say I'm a chaotic. I'm a messy, but I'm an organized messy as well.
Yeah.
Like I know
Yeah.
what my system is.
just
but
because you know where it is doesn't mean it's organized.
It's organized to us.
it's
in our
organized
head.
in my
Yeah,
brain.
we're
I can
programmed to
find
know
when
where
she
it
fixes
is.
it. I
Yeah.
cannot find anything.
Like I
so
would
it's
pile
like
like
cannot
shorts,
compute.
nice
Yeah.
pants, jeans, and everything, and then he would just like try on a pair of pants when he's getting ready, doesn't want it, and just tosses it up top. And I'm like,
Yeah, I
gosh.
do that with my shirts.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like,
I don't have time to
babe,
put it
You're
back.
really good about it, by the way.
Thanks.
There you go.
Oh, that was so
Because
sweet.
I've been wearing like the same things over and over again. I don't really like. I don't go. And plus, it's been cold, so I'm like, just pop a sweater on.
Yeah,
Let's go.
literally, no one cares what's underneath.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
Usually there's nothing underneath.
Until I went to the doctor. Yeah,
Risky.
they're like, can you lift your shirt for this? You have to do the arm pressure thing. I was like, I'm naked, so all right, we're doing this. And the doctor's like, your mother let you out of the house with no shirt on underneath. I was like, first of all, I'm married.
First of all, and also, second of all, we're from Florida. If you're
Yeah.
wearing a sweater, there's nothing going underneath
yeah,
there
usually
ever.
I'm like, I didn't need anything underneath.
That is true.
That's
and
so
I also
funny.
had on slippers, but continue.
No, okay. So with that, I'm like, we're gonna have to meet in the middle. He's like, why are my pants everywhere? I was like, babe, I cannot just reorganize your side of the closet every day because it just goes back to chaos. And he goes, all right, here's the new rule. If it goes below the waist, it belongs up in the space. And
I love that there's a rhyme for it.
For songwriters, what do you
That's a
expect?
great way to
Yeah,
kill
that's
it.
and then I realized the craziness of it yesterday. I folded all his pants, right? And I walk in and I just chuck them up there.
Was she speaking my language? Because I was looking for my pants and I like grabbed and three pants fell down and those were the three I needed to pack to come here. So I was
But
like,
I'm like,
yo.
I had this moment with myself. I'm like, I just should not even fold them anymore. Just like start chucking them up there.
Just toss them, give them a
That
toss.
would see, I can't. Like, I can't do it your way. It's gonna piss me off. Like, I need to see it. I need to see it like nice and like,
Yeah. Well, I started
organized.
making a pile for him on the floor, but then he just never picked up the pile.
Because I was like, oh, this is more convenient. I don't have to reach up. I can just pick it up off the
What
ground. I
I've
was like,
had
thanks,
to do
babe.
is like every time he would leave something on the floor, I would take it and then just put it on the ledge of our bed because I'd rather see it there than on the floor where it's like where we walk. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
Because it's kind of my nightly routine. So I undress myself right in front of the bed.
Same.
And then
Same.
I just and I throw it down there because I'm like, when I wake up,
I'm gonna put it back
I'm
on.
gonna jump
Thank
right
you.
back into
Yeah,
it.
but then
So
here-
some mornings I'd be surprised and like,
Where did my clothes go?
It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
been clean.
with that, we kind of have
Been
this like.
cleaned.
With that, we have this like unspoken rule, like the last person on the bed makes it, and he'll always be like, "You only make your side of the bed. Why don't you make mine?" I'm like, "Because I have to climb up Mountain St. Laundry
Mount St. Laundry.
to get to your side of the bed."
That stuff used to bother the heck out of me too. Speaking of change, and this is even before, because when we first got married, I was trying to put on a good face, so I was like cleaning after myself and all that crap. So like,
I wasn't who I was.
I
who
wasn't me.
really am.
I wasn't me when I
It
got
was a
married.
facade.
So I noticed she was doing this before the Mount St. Laundry was put there. She would make her side of the bed, and her side would be all nice and neat and everything like that, and my side wouldn't be touched. So I was thinking to myself, whenever I would make the bed, I would just make the whole bed because
Yeah.
I've always had a queen size bed, married or not, and I would make my entire bed.
I never made
And
my
so
bed.
either.
whenever we got married, she would make her side of the bed and leave mine. And the thing
Well,
that
that's
killed
odd.
me,
That's odd,
Well, how
Cassie.
do
Thank
you
you.
even pull
That's
that
odd.
off? That's what I'm.
that's what I was saying.
I'm
I was like, it
curious
makes
about
more
that.
sense to
How
just
did you just
pull
make
my
half
side
the
out.
bed?
Like, how do you pristinely do half?
And how
with
do you
one
leave the
cover?
room and like be okay? We're
No,
all
but
attacking
that's so
Cassie.
that was
How
that
are
was
you
the point.
okay with like
That's
looking
impressive.
back at the bed and you're like,
That was the point. She knew that it would bother me, and she wanted me to make my side of the bed. So she's like, "I'm gonna just
I
leave it so that
see.
he knows he needs to do his side." And I just never did. And now she's like,
so
"Screw it, I'll
petty.
just make the whole
Cassie's
bed."
like one of the sweetest people ever. I would never think she's that petty.
we
That's a
call
petty
her
trick.
Sarcassi for a reason.
Well, I'm like, and now that, yeah, his shoes are over there and his clothes are over there. I'm like, babe, I was like, can I just throw these in the laundry for you? He goes, no, they're all clean. I'm like, all of them? He goes, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, the hamper's right here. Let me just toss it in. He's like, no,
So-
I'm going to wear them.
So basically, marriage is just arguing about clothes.
But
I think that
communicating.
the,
how to-
the funniest
how to
thing
find
about
your
all
happy
this,
place.
the funny thing about all this is like, this is, and I'm gonna use this word worse. This is the worst that it's been, and it's not even close to being bad. Like we're having a good time, we're
But
enjoying life.
it's wild how in the moment it could feel.
It could feel like you're being attacked.
Yeah.
like
Well, now it's
everything,
funny. Like, it used to
Yeah.
piss me
Yeah.
off. And
Yeah.
like, now I'm like, okay, the cat's starting to trip over your laundry pile. You need to change.
No, but that was the thing. The cats were sleeping in it, so I was like, "Oh, they like my scent. They're sleeping in my laundry. I'm never picking it
They
up."
like my scent. Oh my
Are you a
God.
hoarder?
No, I'm not. I'm actually not.
No.
I'm a minimalist to an extreme.
So I'm somewhat of a mild hoarder, and
I said nothing.
I saw your eyes.
I have said
I have mild hoarding capabilities, and like the idea behind like leave my stuff where it is. I feel like it comes from a bit of that, and like wanting your stuff the way it is. And I don't know. Maybe that's some other like breakthrough to go through. Because I remember as a kid, my mom would obviously kids apparently never clean to the standard of their parents,
Never.
and so my mom would always
They
be
want the
like,
house to look like no one lives in it.
right. It's like, be like, clean your room
That's
or
me.
I'm going to come do it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's clean. And then she comes in, she's like, no, it's not clean. And then she's going through everything and just taking everything that I have and starts throwing things away. And literally every time my mom entered my room, it ended with me in tears. And because
That's traumatizing.
because I'm like, for me, I was like,
He's
yeah,
dramatic.
I'm not ask her. I cried like almost every time. But for me, because it was like, this is my stuff and I'm not ready to part ways with it. I kind of
Oh, see, no, I'm not like that at all.
like for me, it was like my area is like my area for me, and I like it that
It's
way. And
because-
until I mentally accept that it needs to go, then it felt really forced. Like no knock against my mom. She obviously wanted it clean and it looked great afterwards.
Yeah.
But I just
She didn't understand the emotional tie.
yeah, I guess it didn't really connect with her, and I didn't know how to explain it either at that time. So now, like older me, when we have instances where
Let's see what
she's
time
like,
it-
"You got to get rid of this," and I was like, "Well, let's move it to a place where we kind of find a happy medium. Let's find our compromise, and let's get it out the way, and let me obviously within reason. Let me get to my point where I'm like, all right, I absolutely know I don't need this,
Mhm.
but sometimes things come up where it's like, okay, yeah, this can be used again, or
And
maybe
you
not.
said that this came from a place of you being in the same house all of your life.
All of your life, so you were
Right.
used to that.
So I'm
Like
used to like
everything had
having my
its
zone.
spot.
Everything has
Batteries had its
zone.
spot.
See, I
this had its spot.
two different thoughts about that because I was going to say you and I are the same in how we handle that. The reasons are different.
Mhm.
Number one, I'm just a lazy piece of garbage. There's
am
no
too.
trauma that's connected to mine. I have a full long day of work and I get home and I'm just ready to get down to the boxers and get in bed and go to sleep. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Now, the second thing is I do at some point get annoyed, and this is where we differ. I'm not a hoarder by any means. When it hits me and I get to that boiling point, everything's getting thrown away. I'm throwing away everything. So when I walk into the room and it finally hits that point where like all that's annoying me, I won't do the laundry. I'll just burn it all. Like I'm like just done with it.
Jesus.
Like
that
I
might be
don't.
something else in it. Like going right there.
And we have. Well, I had this rule, and she's kind of adopted it. If I don't use it in a year,
Nah,
it gets
they're
pitched.
adopted.
Oh, that's funny. We're both adopted. Make fun of the homeschool kid. I'm just kidding. If we don't use it in a year, it gets pitched. So when we move, it's kind of, to a certain degree, easy for us to move because we don't have a lot of stuff.
What we do have is huge and heavy.
All the stuff that we do have is
Hey-o.
studio equipment, a bunch of instruments, a bunch of photography gear. Like that's the stuff we have to take. But we don't, like, if I don't fit in it anymore, I'm like,
Right.
what's the point of me keeping this? I throw it away. If it's got a hole in it, thrown away. Like there's nothing that gets kept.
I couldn't
ever.
even throw stuff with holes in it away. You guys have jeans with holes.
Well, these were
in it.
bought like
Yeah,
this.
well,
Why is that a thing? Why?
Except I did that with a closet right before we moved into our house, and I was like, I'm gonna force myself to update my closet. Well, guess who didn't update their closet? So now I'm just lacking clothes. But
Yeah, like we literally
Nah, I
threw
just
a bunch of
have
stuff out.
nothing
We
to
like
wear.
gave away a lot of clothes with the mindset of like getting new stuff, and we never did. To your point, we're not hoarders by any means. For me, it's just the laziness piece.
Right.
That's why things get left where they are. I'm not gonna lie. When she does clean everything and when things are looking pristine, I do enjoy it better than whenever it's the way I am.
Right.
Like my chaotic organization works for me whenever it's like that. When things get cleaned, it takes me a second to adjust. You know, moving the things around, that would stress me out. She doesn't do that a whole lot. She's done it once or twice, but she'll usually say like this is where it is or whatever may be the case. But then I think what ends up happening is I'll have a 12-hour day. I'll get home and I'm way too tired to focus on putting things where they need to go, and then that's just a slippery slope. And then it'll be clean for like a week, and then I'll hit that slippery slope, and then it will just kind of
Yeah.
Right.
slide
You
from
just gotta
underneath
do
me.
it even if you're tired.
Yeah, and that's the piece. That's what I need to work on is doing it when I don't want to.
You know what I'm a little curious about?
What?
So I feel like
I'm
you
worried.
you guys have had to do different types of communication for your entire life. So both of you are adopted. Both of you are of, colored in a way.
What?
You're both technically
What?
minorities.
We are? I thought it was white.
What? You mean I have pigment?
I'm black.
I'm not.
But no, wait, so here's the thing I'm curious about.
Dave
So
Chappelle bit.
Clayton Bigsby over here.
We're the white select CJ GRAE.
Well, like, so both of you were you were raised by
You were
white
raised by white
you were
people.
raised by white parents.
You were raised by white people.
Parents.
Little white parents.
Are we being bullied right now? What is happening?
This is a question and it's turning into a roast
If
session.
this
You
is a
were raised
cancel
by white people.
podcast.
my head couldn't handle the alliteration. You were raised to turn into Elmer Fudd. You were raised by white parents, but both of you are of different, ethnic descent. Not even just from your white parents, but from each other. And so that's a learning curve in its
I love
own.
it.
So
It is.
like, one, how it's them learning how to communicate with you and whatever DNA you had from your parents, which follows back through your ancestry, and then you guys learning
Biological parents.
biological parents, and like you guys learning their nurture. So obviously there's a lot of learning curve in that. So
You know-
I feel like you guys maybe had a head start in learning how to communicate because
Yeah.
it was so, I guess, different in a sense for you.
I was gonna say there's one piece for me, like, and jokes aside. I mean, this is funny, but
Right.
jokes aside.
Your white parents.
Right. Like I grew up, and I like my adopted family. The Bakers are the best people in the world. Like the fact that they chose to, bring me in and whatnot. I could never thank them enough for that. I think there was a lot of culture shock that taught me differences in people really early on. Like I was adopted later on in life. She was adopted at birth. I was adopted later on. So I knew my biological parents, and so I was kind of raised by them for a few years,
Right.
and then ripped from that and put into a different place.
Mm-hmm.
So culturally, that was huge. Like I grew up where if my mom was upstairs, my biological mom was upstairs in her room, and she screamed my name,
Mm-hmm.
if I were to scream back, "What?"
Right.
Might as well dig my grave. Like, so I'm used to walking my butt up the stairs, going into her room, like, "Yes, mom." She'd be like, "Go get me something out of the fridge." I'm like, "I was just down there," and now I gotta go back down, right? So
Right.
I move into a white family, and mom's calling for one of my siblings from the other room, and you hear what? And she's screaming what she needs from across the room. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah,
Well,
when
first
it's
of all,
flown in
did you
my
just
house
say
either.
white or what to your mom?
Did you just
Did
say
you say
white?
white?
Mom, white.
White. I was like, did you just say
Whitey.
what to your mom? And I'm like, that's just disrespect. Like, I was not raised, and we were at Waffle House the other day, and they were telling the only white girl working back there, because
Right.
they said, don't what your boss. And I was like, that's how I was raised. You don't
Oh,
say
that happened?
what.
I didn't miss that.
I was trying to pay.
Totally missed it.
Yeah, I was trying to pay, and the boss lady called the girl's name. She said, what? And then the one black lady goes, don't what your boss. That's disrespectful. I said, it is.
You better tell it.
That's how I was raised. But moving in with a white family, like they don't care about that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that was already
That
different in
family
itself.
didn't. We
Now,
won't generalize.
this is the
we
most
won't generalize.
this is the most important part of that whole thing. I still didn't change who I was and what I learned by that. So when my mom would call me, my adopted mom would call me, I wouldn't say what. And what that ended up doing was all of my siblings started seeing that, and they stopped saying what. Because I did think that was kind of disrespectful for parents calling, yes, ma'am, no,
Right.
ma'am, don't scream from across the room. So I think that those type of things were really, I think, beneficial for how we handle just like everyday life now and how we talk to people.
So if you put a good apple with bad apples, the bad apples do turn good.
Yeah, sometimes.
I hate that example because fruits are just going to go bad. But Cassie, what was your experience?
I love that.
It's funny when you said that. I was like, "Ooh, I actually think I had a head start because I was adopted at birth. I had a head start at communicating in a toxic way." Did you hear the silence?
I think she was
We're
waiting for us
tuned
all to
in,
be like,
yeah.
amen.
Like, no, it actually like kind of was like, ooh, because I think from a baby, it was nothing against my adopted parents, but like, I think I had many years of internalizing and unspoken needs that I didn't know how to communicate what I wanted or what I needed. And like specifically, like I loved to clean as a kid, shocker. But I was like OCD. So like if something was like just a half centimeter off, I had to go fix it. And my
Right.
mom was like, it does not need to be perfect. But now as an adult, I look back, and especially since like we did like a thing on the Enneagram, like really understanding myself more, I did so many things to protect my peace. And so the cleaning and like having something like half a centimeter on like gave me peace. And so then like communicating with my family and my friends and now my husband, like I realized how toxic I was in my communication because I didn't understand why I did what I did. And so I was like always OCD and always like on edge and type A. Then I'm like, oh, I'm doing it because of this. And now here's how I adjust to do it with like life with someone else.
You're kind of like building a wall to stop the hurt before it gets there.
Yeah, or like chaos, or like a big thing for me, like dishes. Like before we did the like whole chore assignment thing, like I would get up in the middle of watching TV while we ate dinner and I'd like have to do the dishes because he'll be like, oh, let's just get it in the morning. And I'm like, well, I know that you know that I know the one doing it in the morning is going to be me. So I would rather do it at night than wake up in the morning and be greeted by dishes before I have to go to work.
Right.
Or like, I have to do this. And he's like, well, just go have fun first and then come do the dishes. I'm like, for me, I can't go have fun knowing that these
Until
are
the
waiting
dishes
for
are
me.
clean.
Yep.
So like I have to have a clean house to have peace so that I can enjoy the fun thing or relax.
I think the cool thing about marriage is like realizing, because for us, a lot of people would be like, well, no, do it my way. Like it was kind of cool for us to hit that revelation because I'm like, okay, that makes a lot more sense, because it would bother the heck out of me. We're watching a movie she's never seen before, and halfway through she just gets up and walks away, and then she's running water while I'm trying to watch it, and I'm like, what is happening?
Comes back and asks what happened.
Yeah. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, are you
Honestly.
kidding me?
Comes back and asks
So
what
now
happened.
she's like, I'm like, hey, do you want me to pause it real quick? She's like, yeah, and I'll pause it. She'll go do what she needs to do, and like now we understand each other a lot better. Versus she's not communicating with me because she doesn't understand what's actually happening. Which, if you don't know anything about the Enneagram, definitely check it out. It's
It was like a
cool.
last week revelation that I understood myself more now
Yeah.
because I could not do anything until I finished the first thing on my brain, because that one thing, like having it accomplished, is going to bring me peace to move on to the next
What
thing.
is your Enneagram?
I thought I was a 2 because I serve a lot of people. Like I love to help people, but a 2 is like defined by like they do things because they love people a lot, and it just sounds.
And you hate
I
people
don't
a
care
lot.
about people like
She does not
that.
like people.
I don't care that much.
I care about my people really
Yeah.
deeply, but I don't care about the mass of people to that level that an Enneagram 2 does.
Okay.
Just completely, just like my social media is not there for that.
Right.
But like Enneagram 9s, they care about a lot of people because they forget about themselves, and that's 100% me. And so I do everything to protect my peace and make decisions based on like what's going to make me feel peaceful, and then I'm going to serve other people. It's such a weird
You could
concept.
probably guess what mine is.
7.
Yep.
I only know that because we talked about sevens the other day. I would
did.
Otherwise I would have never
Really?
never guessed. Yeah.
7 is the enthusiast, and all I want to do is have fun.
Yeah.
Hence this whole conversation. I don't like cleaning because I just want to have fun.
He's like, let's
So,
just do it later. I'm like, we don't have
not
plates to do it later.
just a little shameless plug at All Things GRAE. Our episode tomorrow is actually part
Do it.
1 about Enneagrams.
Ooh,
We
there you
actually
go.
have-
Yeah, go.
Well, by the
Cassie's-
time this airs, our episode yesterday, but go watch it either way.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. So Tuesday of the week of the 26th.
After you watch this, go watch this.
There you go. Yeah,
Amen.
Cassie's cousin is not an expert. She's not like a trained professional in this, but she's very, very knowledgeable in the Enneagram. And we had a conversation with her about the Enneagrams and kind of broke down
What's your
each
podcast
number.
called?
Podcast is called All Things GRAE.
Cool.
Do you know what
Spelled
kind of
GRAE.
Enneagram that I would be?
We're
Well,
not
the first rule
technically
is you're not
supposed
supposed
to
to
Enneagram
categorize
people. Yeah, we're
anyone.
not supposed to
Yeah.
Enneagram people. They have
I
to
don't know
take the
what that
test and
means.
figure it out
Well, I've
themselves.
taken a test.
Are you an
Do you
8?
know?
I've taken it.
Oh, you've taken
Yeah.
it.
You're
You're
Oh,
asking-
yeah,
oh,
no.
okay, you know
I was
what you
asking
are.
if
Okay.
you know my
I thought you were
number.
telling me to tell you
No,
what
no,
you
no,
are.
I
I'm not
know.
going to do that.
And his is
I
very-
figured out what I am.
It's
Obviously
very accurate.
Most things
6?
I'll be like, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
I don't
he's-
remember them.
Good.
I don't remember them.
I remember like little bits and pieces of 6, but they're like you're the factual guy. Like
No,
you're.
that's 5. That's
Freaking
researchers.
right I am.
Oh wait.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I think
lost.
that was 6.
I forgot what it's
I'm the
called.
logical guy.
Logic. That's what it was.
Uh,
The logical.
I'm a very logical thinker. If it
Because I'm a
doesn't
7 that wings 6. Because I'm a logical guy too.
Like if it doesn't make logical sense to me, then it
9,
doesn't make sense to me.
7.
So it's like,
6, 4.
You're a 4.
Just say yeah.
4 wing 3.
4
and it's so this part of it's funny because my aunt always tells my dad, she's like, why did you do this to your children? And it's funny that she mentions that because she doesn't work how we work, but I think like growing up now it's logical. So what I do is, and you could tell me how you feel about it because I'm sure there's times where I mention it to you and you're like, why do you do this? But so when I go out,
Why are you the way
Everything.
like when I have errands to do, this is how I think, and
Oh, yeah.
kind of how my dad kind of taught me to think. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. So if I have to go to multiple spots, I'm a one trip kind of guy. So I am going to kind of lay out my time and my space into where I'm going into that trip. So I've never liked when people, I guess, step into that as I'm already doing it. So if I'm out and she's suddenly like, hey, can you go here
Oh,
and get this for
dude.
me? I'm like, that wasn't in my plan, but I'm already out, so I'm gonna do it. But one thing I will not do is come home and leave again.
Yeah.
Like ever, because like, and that
I
will
love
bother me
the
to no
optimism.
end.
I
like,
won't,
if it's
and I
in that
won't
day,
leave
I'm
a
not
grocery
doing it.
store and turn around and go back to get you seaweed grass or whatever it is that you want me to buy.
No, this is the difference in that. He was at the store and I was like, hey, can you pick up this? He goes, ugh, can we just do like the bigger grocery shopping later? I'm like, but you're already there.
I don't
And-
like it when
and I
you
was
give
like-
me
I was
There,
like,
lists.
you
yeah.
might as well have gotten it.
I was like, you know what?
I went there with something I needed to get, and she gives me
Like,
a list.
quickly.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not.
I needed
that's
three
true.
things. I needed 3 things. 3 things.
That's
Like,
a list. That's more than one. That's a
And
list.
I
At
was
what
like, can
point
you
does it
just
become a
get the
list?
soap? Can you just get hand soap? And he's like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, fine. Get the just don't get the hand soap. I'll go back. I'll go out for a 20-minute trip to the same place you're already at
No,
because
no.
you're overwhelmed by the hand
I would
soap.
have to do it in that trip. If you made me go back, that would have been the issue there.
No, like for me, if I've already got it in my mind, because I'm the same way as you, and
Mm-hmm.
this is something that I learned with my brother. We were talking similar stuff like this, and we realized that there's a lot of times where our wives, and this is my brother and I talking, our wives don't realize that when they ask us to do something, they don't realize we already had a list of things that we needed to do.
And I get
So when
that.
she
That's
asked me to do something, I put that. If
Yeah.
we're having a list, I put that at the bottom of my
I'm
list.
like, your
She's
entire list was
expecting-
not house chores? What?
Yeah,
But that's
she was
not-
expecting me to do that right when she asked me, and I'm like, babe, I had 7 other things I needed to get to before I got to the one thing you asked me to do. Now, if she says, hey, before you leave, do you mind doing this? Then I would prioritize what she asked me to do.
Right.
But when she says, hey, babe, when you get a chance, that could
I don't
be
have a
That
chance.
chance is coming when I say the
that
chance
chance
is
could be
there.
next week, my love.
That's fair. That's
You
fair.
know?
And I've seen that play out too, in our lives and in other people's lives where like it's like I've asked you to do things too when like you've already had stuff planned for that day.
Like in my head, like when I have my mental list.
But
of-
then at the same in the
Yeah.
same right, like the way you expect for me to do the things that I do usually, I have other things that I wanted to do that day that you're unaware of as well. Not just the things
It
that
goes both
I'm-
ways.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
I
not
agree.
just the things that I do every day. Like they shouldn't be expected just because it's normal.
Yeah.
And that's where
That's
we
fair.
talk about like
Mhm.
the communication thing. So one of our things was like, I guess unreasonable expectation. So in my head, because I'm thinking in my logical mind, not saying you don't think logically, but because that's it sounds weird, but it's like, so I'm like in my head, all right, these things needed to have been done, and she knows they have to been done. So is she going to do them within this time frame? But she could have her mental list that she already has, and then so we've kind of gotten to this realm of, it's like, hey, I know that you're thinking about this. So now she like acknowledges the things that I was like, all right, we talked about getting these things done. She's like, hey, I know you're thinking about this. Here's what I was doing, and things like that. So it's like, all right, it puts a little bit of ease to the logical mind.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And the only thing that I'll say that now it is funny, but before it used to drive me insane. When we're both doing something, typically if I need, like if I'm doing something in the house and I need help, and she's just kind of chilling with the cat, something like that, I have no problem. Like, hey babe, can you help me with this? If I'm doing something and I need help and I know she's doing something too, I'm like, you know what? She's busy. I'm going to figure this out. My lovely wife, however,
She's like,
if she's doing something and she sees that I'm doing something, she wants me to stop what I'm doing to come do whatever she's doing. And I'm like, babe, we could be dividing and conquering right now, but now we're both folding underwear. We're both folding laundry when I could be going and doing the dishes or doing the trash or doing this. And she's like, but I just wanted you to be here with me.
I want you to do this.
Which
with
her
me.
love language is quality time, so I don't have any problem with that. But like that whole, in my head, I have this thing that I need to get done.
Why doesn't
and
she
then
just do the
kinda
laundry
comes
in the kitchen?
That would require us taking that
Compromise.
down the stairs. I'm not doing all
your
that.
laundry room's upstairs.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
just too much work.
and I also like we have talked about how like there's compromise and there's also sacrifice. So
Yeah.
I think like sometimes it'll be okay for you to drop what you're doing.
And
Yeah,
and
and,
those
like-
moments, like I'll come over and I'll give her like, and there's
Yeah.
times now because I know her so well,
discernment.
I will try to,
Yeah.
I'll try to like anticipate it. So like I'll be doing something and I'll see her and I'm
Yeah.
like, she's about to stop me, so I'll
Right.
get up and walk over to her,
Yes,
give her a
like,
kiss on the forehead,
my,
and her,
my
like,
Cassie senses
Yeah, my
are
Cassie
tingling.
senses are so I'm gonna get up
It's
and
always
go.
when I'm folding laundry because I hate that.
Yeah,
I
she'll be
hate
like,
folding
and I'll be like
laundry.
downstairs. She's like, babe,
The casserole's
babe,
ready.
and I come upstairs. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I was downstairs cleaning.
I am here to help you now.
So I've learned
my
to like
dear.
stop what I'm doing. I'll just go over, give her a kiss on the cheek, like, hey, how you doing? You doing all right? And then I'll leave, and then that kind of like resets the buffer. So I have 30 minutes before she comes back at me.
Do your check-ins.
Yeah,
I love it.
I
Well,
love it too.
thank you guys so much for
Thank you.
being on our pod.
Thanks for having us.
Let
know why I
us
said it that way.
gray
We
on
will-
our side.
We
Yeah.
always have the best conversations,
I love
and
it.
we will
So
probably
funny.
keep having conversations today that we're like, let's get the podcast
Yeah.
lights out.
Yeah, let's do something a little spicy.
But they have a new song out, so another
yeah.
plug.
Yes.
It's called "Stay," and it's really, really good
Thank
by
you.
the Graes, GRAES.
On all your favorite
Yes.
streaming platforms. Yes, GRAES, which that's another story in and of itself, but we have to. We're gonna get into that another time because
Just so you guys know, he's our drummer, by the way. So just in case you were wondering, like
I belong to that.
why he feels to have a stake in all of this.
Even if I didn't have a stake in it, I would shout you out. Like
He wouldn't shout us out if he
No,
wasn't
he
in the
wouldn't.
band.
No,
I'm
he
just
wouldn't.
kidding.
No.
I love my friends to thrive. If you have something and you want to thrive, send it to me. Send
Everyone
it
needs
to
a CJ
let us pray
Williams.
pod at Gmail or anything Instagram, and I will shout you out. If you have a small business,
Oh my
if you
God.
write music, you tell me what you do, and I will
He
say
will
it.
endorse
Just-
it for the price of $99.99.
I am
small
here
price.
for you.
Batteries not included.
I am here for you. If you want our small audience, I will tell all of them about your thing, whatever your thing is.
And
You
this is
let
why
me
we
know.
love CJ number one.
Also, you can send us. You have to say it. Hate mail.
Sorry, I
Love
lost my train
mail.
of thought. I was so deep into supporting my community.
Oh, okay.
But if you have hate mail, love mail, any type of mail, let us pray pod at gmail.com, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts now. Well, don't send anything there. I don't know why I said
Can,
that.
can we
us
can we
to-
say can we say the tagline once you guys are done?
Well, you have to do
Cassie
the
Wait,
lettuce
no,
prayer
we have to wait.
hands. So say it.
What?
Say the old.
I'm so
say the
confused.
tagline. I thought you were gonna say it.
You know it.
Romaine
You have to
bird.
do it at the same time.
Romaine bird to stay fresh.
Your hands are cold.
Sorry.
I'm like, what is this? It feels like a Powerpuff Girls moment.
Wonder
Romaine
Twin
bird.
powers activate.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.